Good morning, my dear children. Welcome to your Class 4 Science online classes. In this video, we are going to proceed with the Chapter 10, that is Animals and their Young Ones. हमने इस chapter से related अपनी last video में Animals and their young ones we have studied about them. We have also studied about the two ways in which an animal reproduces and about the structure of an egg. So, today in this video we are going to study about the life cycle of frog. आज हम frog की life cycle के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. That how does a frog grow? How does a frog is born? एक frog का कैसे लाइफ साइकिल स्टार्ट होता है. ओके, हाउ अ लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ अ फ्रॉग स्टार्ट्स और हाउ अ फ्रॉग इज रिप्रोड्यूस्ड फ्रॉम द एग. ओके, सो वी आर गोइंग टू स्टडी अबाउट द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ अ फ्रॉग. सो लेट्स प्रोसीड. टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू लुक एट द लाइफ साइकिल ऑफ अ फ्रॉग. दिस पिक्चर शोज द डिफरेंट स्टेजेस ऑफ डेवलपमेंट. इस पिक्चर के थ्रू आप देख सकते हो. This picture depicts the development of a frog. Okay, so to study in detail, let's have a closer look. This is the slide which begins with the topic life cycle of a frog. See, frog. Frog कैसा animal है? Frog is an egg laying animal. Egg laying, जो कि egg lay करते हैं. ठीक है, so frog is an egg laying animal. And frogs are called amphibians. Amphibians, I have told you in the life class what are amphibians. Amphibians are those animals, those who live both in the water and on land. जो animals पानी में भी रहते हैं और land पे भी रहते हैं. Those animals are called amphibians. So amphibians here means double life. Double life means जो animals water में भी रहते हैं and they live on land also. So those animals are known as amphibians, and frog is one of those animals which is an amphibian. Frog lives both in the water and on the land. So therefore frog is an amphibian. Okay. Now we are going to study about the life cycle of the frog. This slide is giving the brief description which we are going to study in the further slides. 3 points mentioned in slide में with a picture given. See, frog के बारे में पढ़ेंगे. यहाँ पर 3 life cycles, 3 stages दी हुई है life cycle of a frog की. The first life cycle of a frog is an egg. सबसे पहला stage होता है वो है egg, that is spawn of the frog. ठीक है. The next is the tadpole. Tadpole आता है इसके बाद जब egg hatch होता है. Okay. The next stage is of tadpole. Tadpole is a tiny creature. ठीक है, tiny creature, that is a tadpole. The third and the final stage is the adult frog, the fully grown up frog. ठीक है, so these are the 3 stages of development which takes place in the life cycle of the frog, and we are going to study them in detail now. Let's see with the slides. The first one is frog spawn. F-R-O-G, frog, S-P-A-W-N, spawn. Spawn क्या होता है? Eggs which are laid in the cluster. जो eggs cluster में ले होते हैं, that is a floating clump of eggs is called frog spawn. Spawn मतलब the eggs which are laid in the cluster, these are called spawn. So frogs जब अपना egg lay करते हैं तो वो कहाँ lay करते हैं? For that frog requires the water body in their surroundings so that they are able to reproduce. Okay, frogs अपना जो egg lay करते हैं, they lay their egg in the water or near the water bodies that surrounds the water. The bodies that surrounds the water means nearby a watery place, wet place, जिसके थ्रू वो आसानी से reproduce कर सके. Okay, so frogs lay their eggs in water or in wet places. Okay, a floating clump of eggs is called frog spawn. This large and slippery mass of eggs is too big to be eaten. This is nature's way of protecting them. So this is about frog spawn. which are laid in the cluster, that is spawn, and these eggs are laid in a water body which surrounds so that they are able to reproduce. Okay, so this is about the first stage, that is frog spawn. The next and the second stage is tadpole. Tadpole की है next stage. Tadpole क्या होता है? The embryo which develops into a tiny creature is tadpole. और embryo क्या होता है? I have told you in the life class, embryo is the young animal before birth. Birth से पहले जो young animal होता है, that is embryo. And when that embryo develops in the tiny creature, it becomes tadpole. So tadpole here is the tiny creature. The tadpole has a long tail and lives in the water. Tadpole का जो look होता है, it is like a fish. Okay, tadpole looks like a fish and has a tail for swimming. ठीक है, it lives in the water, it has a tail and its look is like a fish. Okay. After that, when it grows slowly, what happens? जब वो धीरे धीरे बड़ा होने लगता है, what happens? As that tadpole grows, it develops limbs while its tail slowly disappears. जब धीरे धीरे वो tadpole बड़ा होने लगता है, about 5 weeks the tadpole begins to change. जब वो एक tadpole होता है, tadpole बनने के 5 week के बाद, 5 हफ्तों के बाद, the tadpole begins to change. It begins to change. The changes takes place. It begins to change. It starts to grow hind legs. Behind its head, bulges appear where the front legs are growing and its tail becomes smaller. Lungs begin to develop, preparing the frog for its life on land. So, हमने क्या पढ़ा कि जब एक tadpole grow होने लगता है, उसके बाद 5 weeks के बाद धीरे धीरे वो frog की तरफ, adult frog की तरफ बढ़ना शुरू होता है. Starts to grow, the changes in its body takes place. Tail disappear हो जाती है और उसके hind legs grow होने शुरू होते हैं. I have told you about the limbs, the 2 limbs, 4 limbs and the hind limbs. तो उस tadpole की tail धीरे धीरे disappear होने शुरू हो जाती है और उसके limbs grow होने शुरू हो जाते हैं. That is hind limbs and the 4 limbs. The front one are the 4 limbs and the back ones are the hind limbs. That is hind legs also you can say. So this is about when the tadpole begins to grow. ठीक है, वो जब grow करना शुरू करता है. After that and the last stage is when it becomes an adult frog. जब एक वो frog बन जाता है. When the young one comes onto the land, it becomes the frog. It starts looking like a frog. ठीक है, वो पूरा डेवलप हो चुका होता है. दैट फुली डेवलप्ड फ्रॉग जिसके लंग्स होते हैं, लेग्स होती हैं, कोई टेल नहीं होती, वो वाटर से बाहर आकर रहने लगता है ऑन द लैंड. उसके लंग्स ग्रो होने लंग्स बन जाते हैं ताकि वो लैंड पर इजीली ब्रीथ करके सर्वाइव कर सके. सो इट बिकम्स एन अडल्ट फ्रॉग. द फ्रॉग मोस्टली लिव्स ऑन द लैंड विथ ओकेजनल स्विम्स. द टाइनी फ्रॉग्स बिगिन टू ईट इंसेक्ट्स एंड वर्म्स. वो फ्रॉग इंसेक्ट्स और वर्म्स खाना शुरू कर देता है. नाउ इट इज़ एबल टू सर्वाइव ऑन दी लैंड. ठीक है, उसके ऑर्गन्स फुली डेवलप हो चुके होते हैं और उसकी टेल डिसअपेयर हो जाती है, उसकी टेल कट ऑफ हो जाती है. वो अपनी टेल को लूज़ कर देता है. उसके ऑर्गन्स जिससे कि वो लैंड पर सर्वाइव कर सके वो ग्रो होने शुरू हो जाते हैं, वो ग्रो हो जाते हैं. ठीक है, सो दैट इज़ how a frog is reproduced from an egg, or you can say a cluster of eggs, that is spawn. ठीक है, this is about the life cycle of a frog. अब इस पूरे प्रोसेस को बोलते हैं मेटामॉर्फोसिस. इस पूरे प्रोसेस को बोला जाता है मेटामॉर्फोसिस. Here was this term metamorphosis in this slide. The change that takes place is called metamorphosis. I have also told you in the live class that what is metamorphosis. The process in which an organism undergoes several changes to become an adult is known as metamorphosis. अब जब frog एक egg में से जब वो adult frog बनता है तो उस प्रोसेस में वो पूरा प्रोसेस, वो जो चेंजेस जितने भी हुए हैं, जितने भी सेवरल चेंजेस हुए हैं, that process which has taken place during that change is metamorphosis. So the process, जिस प्रोसेस में एक ऑर्गेनिज्म सेवरल चेंजेस के अंडरगो करता है, उसकी बॉडी सेवरल चेंजेस को बेयर करती है, दैट प्रोसेस इज नोन एज मेटामॉर्फोसिस. metamorphosis. So the change that takes place in an organism is known as metamorphosis. Okay, so this was the life cycle of a frog which we have studied. Now this homework you have to do in your science notebook. आपको क्या करना है, आपको ये डायग्राम ड्रॉ करना है, ठीक है. You have to draw this diagram, that is life cycle of a frog, and you have to label the stages of the life cycle of a frog. Okay, so this diagram is to be done in your science notebook very neatly. You have to draw it very neatly. इसको आप राइट हैंड साइड पेज पे ड्रॉ करेंगे जहाँ पर आप अपना रिटन वर्क करते हैं. वाइट पेज पर आपको इसको ड्रॉ नहीं करना है. You have to draw it very beautifully in your science notebook, and you have to label all these stages which are given. Okay, so this is all for today's video. Please do watch the video very carefully, and you will be able to understand the concept more clearly. Okay children, so that is it for today. Thank you and have a nice day.